Hey, what's up, everyone? English Dave here with my co-host Raven. What's up, Raven?
What up, Dave?
We are here to do a review of a new Hulu movie, Run. This stars Sarah
That was a little
Paulson.
tongue twister review
I
for
know,
new Hulu. Look at you.
Run.
Look at you. Rhyming. Yeah. What's a
this
rhyme?
this stars Sarah Paulson and newcomer Kira Allen. For those of you who don't know, this is directed by Anish Chaganty. He did one of my favorite movies a couple of years ago, Searching. If you have not seen Searching,
He was the same director from
he is the same
Searching.
director of
Okay.
Searching. You can feel it, right, in the movie. There's that feel,
You know what,
that
though? I
tone to
feel
it.
like that makes sense, though, because Searching was another movie that I saw where it was a concept that you've seen before, but it was
Hmm.
done in such a unique way that you respect it. And that's how I feel about this.
And that's the thing. I think it's true. I agree. I think the concept is we've seen this before, and you kind of we won't spoil it, but you kind of know you see it coming. Some of the hooks of it, but at the same
Yeah.
time, the way it's presented, the way it's done, that's what makes this movie stand out. The synopsis is as follows: a homeschooled teenager begins to suspect her mother is keeping a dark secret from her. Like I said, this is currently on Hulu. This was supposed to be released in theaters, but COVID changed all of that. I kind of wish I saw this in theaters. I feel like this felt like a theatrical movie, right?
Yeah, it would have been fun to like feel the tension of everybody else and kind of
Hmm.
get like the surprises with everybody, you know?
Hmm. I was going to ask you if you were a fan of the director, but you've seen Searching, so that's a yes. But knowing, how much had you known about this movie before? Did this pull you in because of Sarah Paulson? And what was it? Outside of me forcing you to watch it, what made you curious about this film?
Yeah, other than the searching director, obviously that was kind of my first intrigue. Two, the fact that I didn't have to leave my house is always nice. That's always a good selling point for me. It's like it's on streaming. Ah, all right. I've become a recent fan of Sarah Paulson's. Like I know she has a big fan base, but I'm only now starting to appreciate her line of work, like literally within this year. Because I actually started watching what's the other show? Ratchet.
Yeah,
Ratchet.
yeah.
I watched the first season, it's pretty good. But yeah, so there were a couple of little things that brought me in. I love a sci-fi. I love any type of thriller for the most part,
Mm.
thriller horror. Usually gonna give it a chance, you know. But I was interested in this one. I think that was kind of my selling points. It's like director Sarah Paulson, fact that it's on Hulu.
Mm.
Saw a couple of trailers. I like the general concept, like the genre. Figured I may as well give it a shot.
I feel like it's one of those films that if you're interested, go watch it. Stop watching trailers. Just watch the film because I
Yeah,
think
the trailers like you don't need them.
no, you don't need
I
them
don't
because
think I even really saw like I saw a part of the trailers and I was
yeah,
like, it's fine.
exactly, exactly.
As those like really long, over explaining trailers,
No,
like,
it's like I don't feel
just
that.
press
Like
play.
stop. I'm in. I'm in. I'm in. You had me hello.
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. It's fine. It's fine.
Um, I want to talk about Kira Allen. She's a newcomer, and actually in real life, she is a wheelchair user, which I think is a good thing to bring because also the film, even though the film focuses on her and her being a wheelchair user,
Yeah.
the movie isn't like trying to be this preachy movie to make you feel bad about someone with a disability,
Yeah.
which it could have easily have become that film
Mm.
because as much as the movie, I'm trying not to spoil here, as much as the movie kind of highlights the fact that she doesn't have the use of her legs. The movie's not about that, you
Yeah,
know.
that's what I love though, you know, because I do feel like it very easily could have been something that focused more on the hardships
Yes.
or kind of the fear of not being able to walk and not necessarily
Hmm.
like everything else that comes with it. I feel like this film did a good job of showing handy capability
Hmm.
more so than like a handicap, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. Like I felt
Hmm.
like this movie made me realize how much somebody in a wheelchair could actually do
Hmm.
instead of emphasizing what they couldn't,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. And
Hmm.
I'm appreciative for that
Hmm.
because there's scenes that I felt I was legitimately worried for the main character
Hmm.
from the perspective of somebody that can walk, you
Hmm.
know? And I like the moments of, oh, she got this, or
Hmm.
huh, that's how you do it. I guess that makes sense, you know? And it wasn't like Maze that I felt like that's impossible
Hmm.
or that couldn't be a thing, you know?
And I think part of it as well is the fact that she's bound to a wheelchair isn't the obstacle of the film. It's one of the obstacles, right?
Mm,
It's like I won't go into details, but part of the narrative of the film is this very controlling mother,
Hmm.
And regardless of if this girl is in a wheelchair or not, that mother's still controlling, right? And that's why I think that makes the film work is that the mother would still be the same way. We just think of other ways to be controlling if the child wasn't in the wheelchair. Little things like it's not a spoiler to say the mother even controls how she uses the internet. That's got nothing to do with her being stuck to a wheelchair. Like
Yeah.
the mother makes sure to get the mail first before the child gets the mail. Little things like that are controlling aspects. And I think to kind of focus on Sarah Paulson, she does a very good job of coming across scary and menacing, but she's not a scary, menacing person.
Which, like, I think that's one of the amazing things too in this film, and I think that's why I'm becoming a Sarah Paulson fan.
Right?
Is the realization like if you subtracted her performance and maybe replaced her performance with a not so great performance,
Mm-hmm.
this film very easily could have been stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I feel like having a mother figure that is convincing within that role is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like when we find out what we find out, without giving any spoilers, you find out kind of the big,
Well, why the mother's
reveal.
controlling, right? What
Yeah,
is the
why the
reason?
mother's so controlling. It hurt me. Like, it
Right?
hurt me like I knew her.
You're like,
You know
oh
what I'm
shit.
saying? Like, and I think that really takes amazing acting to make your audience feel comfortable, loving, to feel nurtured by you
Mm-hmm.
as a mother, to feel trusting of you as a parental figure, and then to have that ripped from under you the same
Mm-hmm.
way that the character does. I think was really really well
Mm-hmm.
done, and I think that lesser actor wouldn't have been able to pay that off as well for me, and it would have definitely changed the
Mm-hmm.
reveal and just the overall tone of the film entirely
Mm-hmm.
had we not really resonated with this mom. you
Mm-hmm.
know
And I think the way the film is presented,
I've never
it,
agreed with the overly controlling mom.
right,
you
right.
know like I feel like every movie we've seen, like Mommy Dearest, certain movies like that where
Yeah.
there's obsession
Mm-hmm.
about a child and everything, and it turns crazy, but most of the time you're like, she's crazy, she's crazy, she's crazy, and you write
Mm-hmm.
her off. Whereas in this, it's like, damn, maybe I'm that crazy mom because I
Yeah.
agree with her. you
There are
know
moments again until you figure out the why of it all. There are moments I agree you're with the mom, especially because the movie, it's not a spoiler, starts off showing you all the ailments and the things that the kid has, right? You see the girl as a
yeah
kid and then older, so she's like, not only is she confined to a wheelchair, she has to take all these pills, she has all the illness and stuff. Of course, the mom's going to be controlling like this, like the mom wants to take care of her child through whatever way she seems fit, and I agree with you. They do a good job of unraveling that because at first you're like, oh, she's controlling, but it's not so bad, and even her daughter's kind of aware of her mom kind of being like that. But
yeah,
then
she's aware and she's like, oh, it's not so bad, because you don't think that she'll
no,
go to a certain level.
no,
You think there are limits.
exactly.
She cares.
You're thinking this. You're scared of your child. You're protecting your child.
Because most of
Whatever.
the film, I was like, she better than my mom. She did more than my mama did. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't lie, but it's like, damn, a couple of moments where I was like,
Mhm.
all I could think was like, but how are they gonna switch this
Exactly.
on us?
Like,
Because
what is
I'm not convinced.
like?
You know?
How are you gonna switch? I know the mom's supposed to be controlling, but okay, it's not that bad. But then that's what I like is it's little threads that start picking, and then the curiosity of Kira is like, huh, huh, and you as the audience are like, huh, and you follow along until it picks, and you're like,
Because
oh
it's all
shit,
like it all starts with
exactly,
just this one little clue.
right,
And that's all it took. And like same as, just a child, the brain, the
hmm
curiosity. Where does this lead to? Where does this lead to? And then when you find out where it leads to, holy shit.
and I think most of the film is mostly set in one location. We go to some other locations, but primarily the most films in one location. But they do a good job of creating tension and kind of like heart racing moments through
Hmm.
simple things. Like I won't go into it, but like a Google search has never been so scary for me. you know,
Yeah. Yeah,
how do you do
it
that?
was actually really, really scary.
Like hurry up! Like,
It was. I was like, search faster. Like it was bad. Yeah.
but it's a Google search, and I think there's many situations like that. There are simple moments that we take for granted that
Hmm.
within the context of the film is made like intense and edgy as seat. And it's just I think it speaks to the great directing and the cinematography is great. I think they do a fantastic
The
job
cinematography
with this
is
film.
amazing.
I think the
Sad.
score was really well done as well. I think the score,
The
like,
score was really well done.
really well
Because I
done.
feel like a good score is a score that you can't hear but you can feel.
Mm-hmm,
And in a movie like this, the score is so key because
mm-hmm,
of the tension
mm-hmm.
and the fact that, like, technically in a lot of scenes, there's not much happening,
No, you
but you
feel it.
feel it.
I
And you're
agree.
like, ah, you know, in the moments of literally nothing where the daughter's just in a room by herself, you're like, you know, and I think a lot of that goes to, you know, like you said, what's the name? Sound mixing,
Mhm,
soundtrack, and cinematography. I think shot wise, the film was shot really well. It was done
mhm,
in a great way to where you felt, you know, the tension. You felt there was something creeping around every corner. Like the moment during the Google search, that was an amazing wide shot.
mhm,
You
mhm,
know, that's all I'm gonna say. It was just a great wide shot.
mhm.
It was so
Or
scary.
even just
Like,
switching perspectives, right? Because
mm-hmm,
Kira's character is wheelchair bound, so she's going to be lower down. So the camera does a
yeah,
good job of that
exactly.
shifting perspective of seeing, okay, what kind of perspective are you looking at here?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Overall, I think this is a great movie. If you have Hulu, definitely watch it and check out the director's
Like
past film
honestly, the
Searching.
best thing I could say about this movie is that I have nothing bad to say about this
No,
movie.
I have absolutely
So I
nothing
feel
bad.
like that right there, if just watch it. Just watch it. Whenever you
um,
wanna.
I'm going to quickly just 2 minutes on spoilers because I have some spoiler thoughts. So if you haven't seen the film, go watch the film, then come back because we're going to talk spoilers. How do you feel about the big reveal, Raven? Like you said, I think
Oh,
it's not a shock because we've seen movies like that, but
oh.
man,
It's
where you're like, wait,
that's the thing. It's like, have I seen that in any other movie? Because like
well,
it's
you
so small, but you just never assume a mom would purposefully cripple her child.
and not, it wasn't her
Like,
child. She stole the child. Like
and then you realize the child stole, because that was enough for me.
right,
That was
like
enough for me. Realizing that, you know, that mom uh
gave gave him dog
was
pills.
keeping her daughter paralyzed on purpose.
Like
That
damn,
fucked with me.
yeah,
That alone was like
like
the
holy shit.
betrayal. I cannot fuck this. But I also had started to get little hints, and I was saying it to Paris, my fiance. Like, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's not her kid. She was like, what do you mean? I was like, I think
Hmm.
she was stolen. She's
I thought the
like,
same
you
thing.
think so? And I was like, no, I really think so. Remember, like back in the day, in like the 90s, early 2000s, that was a real thing. People were stealing babies from the
Hmm.
hospital. And she's like, yeah, remember that one story with the one mom? And like, as we were talking about it,
Hmm.
and then it was like the next scene, you realize like she was stolen. And I was like, oh, you know,
And
like it's just, oh, that poor girl
and it's hinted at in the beginning, where at
at the
the
hospital.
parents.
Yeah, the
Uh,
baby died.
no, not just there. Later on, after the prologue, it's when it's years later, and all the parents are like, "Oh, my baby's going off to college," and she's like, "Yeah, whatever." Like she doesn't have that emotional connection, and that's
Mm.
why I started thinking, "Huh, what do you know that other people don't know?" Because these are all parents who have homeschooled their
She
kids.
also knows she was never sending her kid nowhere.
Exactly, she was never
She
sending her
never
kid
had
anywhere.
any intention of sending her
Dude,
kid
that
anywhere. That's
moment
why
where
she was
she
so calm about
ran,
it.
you can see that she ran to get the mail. But it was subtle because you see the car doors left open, and then she's holding the mail because the kid almost got the mail when she was lying about the school. You're like, oh
Because she was
shit.
mad calm. And it was weird. It's like, how are you not out of breath?
Oh,
I was like,
the
ah.
Google search when he's like looking outside, is the mom there? It's like searching, and then the internet cuts off. You're like, oh shit, the internet. You're like, damn.
Ah. Or at night when she was using the computer, her mom's just in the kitchen in the
In the kitchen,
background
just
staring
sitting
at
there.
her. Ah.
So scary. I was just like, shit. Or when she like calls the guy, it's like, can you do a Google search for me? And the guy's having a fight with his girlfriend.
I know.
I was dying
It's so
laughing.
cute. But I love that. And I will say like that about the director. I feel like that's kind of like I'm starting to realize his style, you know? And I like how his films exist within our world. And it
Hmm.
feels very much like this scenario could happen now, you
Hmm.
know? Whereas like I feel like a lot of directors will kind of like we'll see a movie now that comes out where people are still doing house visits, right?
Hmm.
Well, we know in 2020 nobody's just showing up at your house.
Yeah,
They're gonna
without
call,
text
they're gonna
first.
text, they're gonna, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna hit you up on social media. They're gonna do anything else but just show up at your crib. So I feel like this director really makes it a point to kind of bring you into the world,
Hmm.
you know, and be like, this is your world too. These are
Hmm.
your everyday characters. These are people that you could encounter on the street. I could have run into this mom at the grocery store.
Hmm.
And this, I any mom that I pass on the street could technically have a daughter that they're keeping crippled in their own
Hmm.
basement.
Hmm.
And it's like when you think about shit like that, it's really crazy. But I loved, moments like that where she was using the phone and trying to get somebody to do a Google search for her. Because that's like realistic. I've never seen that in a movie. We never think about that. Why don't you just keep calling random numbers until
Yeah.
somebody got to have a phone? Somebody could Google it for you,
Right, right. I don't
And
have the
somebody
internet.
will. If she would have called me, I would have been like, all
Mhm.
right.
And even little
No.
things like, where controlling of her mom won't give her an iPhone. So she doesn't have any phones. She only has limited internet time. And the mom will say things like, oh, yeah, the internet people said it cut off for like the next 3 days. Like that bullshit. Like we know it's bullshit, but it makes sense because this girl's been sheltered her whole life. She only knows what her mom tells her. Which adds the
Mhm.
fear because we know like, it's lies. It's all lies, but we can't do anything about it. I really liked the moment where she has to go down the stairs but the lift isn't working. So he has to like throw. And these are the moments where I'm just like, damn, like you said, it doesn't show that she's handicapped. She's still. You think, oh well, she can't do anything, but it's like no, she figured out a way. Throws this thing down, throws herself down the stairs, and like, oh shit, whatever it takes just to just get out and run.
And that looked
And,
so painful, but I was right there with her, like, girl,
oh,
get your ass down them steps.
just
I don't care
go
what you got to do.
run,
Throw
like the
yourself.
title of the movie.
And then I was also like, ooh, you just going to throw yourself like that?
But it's like, but again, the movie does a good job of just like upping the stakes. It's like, okay, you got downstairs. Now what? You're in a wheelchair.
I also like that adults weren't stupid in this.
No. Oh, the
Like when she
mailman.
ran into the mailman,
Oh,
I
loved
loved
it.
his whole like reaction. He was like, she says you heard her. Like, I
But the
gotta
mom was
take her. I'm
smart though.
sorry.
When she's like, I'm gonna tell someone, some man just took my daughter. Like, oh shit. Like, what can you do?
And then I also thought he gonna give her back. Because I might
Right?
be like, ooh,
Yeah. So did I, because it's like, as a guy, you have
yeah,
no defense against that, right? Like
at
in that
all. But he
situation,
was still stood his ground. Nope,
I love
she's
that.
coming with me.
I thought he was gonna get killed
Yeah.
right there and then. Like I thought, as soon as that happened, she's gonna go boom and shoot him. I will say, I love the ending because Payback's a bitch.
Yeah.
Because at first I was like, why is she visiting her mom? Why is she being so nice to her? Like, what is this? And you're like, oh shit. She crippled her mom the same way mom crippled her. I was like,
Yeah,
oh. She's
that's
injecting her with the stuff. Because at first you see mom's all fucked up. It's like, damn, how fucked up is she getting? It's not like she was mentally unstable like that. But then you
no.
realize, oh, the daughter's been injecting her with stuff as payback. And you're like, yo.
And honestly, I was like, good for you.
He's like,
I was
okay
like,
then. Because
yeah,
the thing, I agree.
that'll
Because
do it.
again, when she's visiting the mom, I'm like, no, are you that vulnerable that you still care? This is not your mother. And when she does that, like, oh, okay, you had a plan the whole time. Okay,
That's
bravo,
what I thought too. At first, I was
bravo.
like, weak sauce.
Yeah, right.
Then I was like, you know what? Once again, I stand corrected.
Okay then.
I feel like every time in this movie, I was like, dumb at all.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, that's logical. You got it.
okay.
And then something else would happen. I'd be like, all right, fine. All right, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, no, I think this
No.
movie, I think Anish Chaganty has to get more work and more stuff. Just give him anything he wants. I think he's one of those directors that he's able to take a subject matter or a narrative that other directors would have made hokey. Even Searching could have
Yes.
been so cool. In fact, I didn't see Searching for a long time because I thought it was one of those corny movies. I saw it
No.
reluctantly.
And like Searching was probably my favorite thriller of that year.
Yep.
Like my favorite like indie thriller, hands down.
So good, so good.
Yeah,
But I
really,
hope
really good movie. Those of you listening to this, please check out Searching if you haven't.
definitely
seen
check out
it.
Searching.
Same director, very, very, very good.
I hope he doesn't get like big.
And
big,
he's
big
great at
budget.
getting good cast too. I'm
Right?
like, who's his casting agent?
Right. Well, that's why I say I hope he keeps making movies like this. I don't want him to do like big Hollywood budget, like someone gives him like a $300 million movie. No, keep these small movies. I wouldn't mind him doing a sci-fi though, like a
Because
subtle
I feel
small
like he
sci-fi.
spends most of his budget on like one really good actor that everyone
Right.
knows. And then it's like most of his things are like one location, a lot of computer, like text, stuff like that.
Simple stuff. I think
But technically his films are a lot of exposition without you even realizing.
Yeah. Right.
Like something as simple as show the pill bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, we see somebody in an office reading about the pill bottle. You know what I'm saying? It's like little things like that. But it saves a lot of money on budget because you're not having this whole scene of her like,
Or like seeing all the college posters in the wall. It's like, well, does she want to go to college? Like, you can tell that she's
Yeah.
excited to go because she has all
Mhm.
these posters and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to be told that she's
Exactly. And it's
excited.
like really good ways. I feel like this movie does a good job of like telling a lot
Hmm.
without having to do too much.
Without being
You know,
holding your
and it's
hand and
not
shit.
too dialogue heavy to where you're
Hmm.
like, all right, you know.
Hmm.
I felt like it was just enough dialogue, like it was written really well, and it was written in a way that was like believable, and it felt like direction,
Hmm.
cinematography, acting, all that. I really don't have a complaint. I was
No.
trying even throughout this
Yeah, I was
podcast. I was
thinking,
like,
let's
I was
force it.
waiting. I was like, I'm gonna think of a nitpick. I know I am, and I really just don't have any
I thought
problems
it was
with
a
it. Like,
great movie.
because I think my expectations weren't very high, but beyond them not being very high, I would still compare this movie to movies that I had high expectations for
Hmm.
and left disappointed.
Hmm.
This movie is probably. I'm trying to think if I've seen a better thriller this year. I think this might be my favorite.
I think it's great. I think it should. I hope it gets its recognition. I hope more people watch it. So if you haven't seen it, well, at this point you've heard those spoilers. But either way, let us know your thoughts. Find us on social media at the Nerdy Bunch. Did you like Run, or do you think we're crazy for loving it? And did you like Searching? Let us know your thoughts at the Nerdy Bunch. Check our social media. Follow us on various podcast platforms. We have more podcasts coming up. We're doing our series on The Mandalorian right now. We have a bunch of movies coming out as well. And January, I'm excited. Raven, WandaVision starts on Disney Plus, Marvel's first Disney Plus show. So we're definitely going to be reviewing that one for sure.
All right, all right.
So look out for all our
Live
reviews.
action?
Yes, live action.
So excited.
Yes, continues the story of Wanda and Vision.
Still on my Black Widow.
Right, we're waiting on Black Widow. Stupid pandemic ruining
Give me
everything.
my fucking Black Widow. You
Right.
give it to me now, Disney. Holding my Black Widow hostage, but fine. I'll take WandaVision for now, but you know she's not my favorite.
Yeah, okay.
Know it.
I'm gonna remember this timestamp because next thing you know, Raven's like, "I love Wanda. She's so good."
I hate her because she fucked up, yo. Fucked up in the last
You're
movie.
saying that now, but Marvel have their ways of making you
She
love
should
cast.
just let Vision die.
On that
Whatever. All right.
on that note, thank you,
I'll
Raven.
watch that too, obviously. Thank you.
Thank you guys for listening. My name is English Dave, and this has been a Nerdy Bunch review for Run, which you can currently find on Hulu. And as always, Raven,
Keep it nerdy.
keep it nerdy, nerds.